So, Clement, you last year, 2025, you did a 1031 exchange to sell your residential investment property and change it into an absolute triple net commercial property in Arizona.
Yeah.
You never saw it, right?
I never saw it. I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, you didn't even see it. So it's online and over the phone transaction, right?
It was.
Yeah. What made you decide to do this exchange? And why do you dare to invest into a commercial property that is long distance that you had never seen? What?
So this is kind of, it's going to seem a little funky how I explain it, but to invest in something I've never seen would have been such a foreign concept because you're so comfortable seeing what you're investing in, you're comfortable seeing your tenants, and I think to answer your question, I think I saw my tenants way too much. I was constantly fixing things. The last video I shared a little bit of experience of constantly going there, taking care of maintenance concerns. And it got to the point where I think I was more involved than I needed to or cared to ever be in what seemed to be supposed to be a passive investment opportunity became more active than I would have preferred. So I think, during that time we had a conversation and you brought up, hey, have you considered a 1031 exchange? And the concept of 1031 exchange was very foreign to me. And I would say that if I talked to a lot of my coworkers and peers today, they wouldn't know what that is either, because they just look at it as, how do I sell it? How do I recoup my equity? And then how do I look at the next opportunity? And then they've got to pay capital gains taxes on those earnings. And when you learn about 1031 exchange it doesn't have to be like for like, but it has to be similar in price, same if not more, you can reinvest what was stuck in this residential property. I didn't want to pay the taxes against it. That would have sucked because all this equity, all this time I've sat on this property looking for appreciation. I realized if I go through a 1031 exchange, you can essentially reinvest that property, the equity out of it, get out of it, and then put it into a qualified intermediary while you're selling the property. Once it's sold, it sits in holding, and then it's reinvested into I could put it into another residential, or I could put it into commercial. In this case, I went with a commercial property because, again, I saw my tenants way too much. And in this case, when we were looking at selling the property, we were looking for a replacement property. And in the same process, it was...
Why do you need to do 1031 exchange? Why?
For me, it was in order to avoid capital gains tax.
Like your residential investment property increase in value,
It
right?
did. It did increase in value. So like I bought the property at the time for just around $700,000. It had appreciation value, and we sold it right about $1.1 million. And so that value increase, that equity that has appreciated and grown on that property, as opposed to having to pay the taxes against it, I could have taken all the earnings on that and reinvested it into another asset, and then deferred taxes by doing so. And so by doing the 1031 exchange for a like type property about the same sales price, I could avoid that. And it is absolutely legal. It's within the IRS codes that allow you to do so. And I would say that is probably a not as understood process, but definitely a really, really important opportunity you can take advantage of. So we reinvested into a commercial property, and in the process was learning about net lease processes along the same timeline. So it was pretty vigorous, but well worth the opportunity to learn. And so when we learned about, like you said, triple net, absolute triple net, fortunately, we were able to stumble upon working with you, and helping to find listings, was able to find an absolute triple net property. And I can dig into what absolute triple net is in comparison to what a normal lease is, and how that really gives you.
You should share with
Yeah.
our audience what is considered absolute triple net.
Yeah.
What is net? Net what?
So what are you as the investor netting back, right?
Yeah.
And so, as opposed to, I think we talked about it in the last video, where as a landlord, for residential, you're responsible for the taxes, the insurance.
Yeah.
You're responsible for the common area maintenance, major replacement costs of any large items, to include your HVAC, your roof, anything that would affect the structure of the building. As you increase in net, right? So you get your net, double net, triple net, and absolute triple net. It reduces the liability on the landlord, and so you can have a net lease, which mitigates the landlord need to pay on the taxes, or you got a double net lease, which means the tenant pays for the taxes and the insurance, and you got like a triple net where the tenant pays for taxes, insurance, and common area maintenance, but you as a landlord continue to reduce in landlord responsibilities. And with a double net, triple net, you're responsible as a landlord for the roof structure and so forth. But then you get to absolute triple net, which is the absolute ideal, and they're out there, plenty of deals. I got one where you have no landlord responsibilities at all. The lease structure is written in a way where the tenant is responsible for, and this is where it becomes too good to be true, but no, it is. It's in black and white, and it's a signed lease, and it's been reviewed by attorneys, and it is in fact, lease structure that's very common, where it gives a lot of flexibility to the tenant, the operator, and reduces the liability against the landlord, and the landlord just is focused on full-time investor. And so the tenant in an absolute triple net is responsible for taxes, insurance, common area maintenance, the roof, the structure, replacement of any major items, to include the HVAC, the parking area if it has to be repaved. So they're responsible for all that cost that when I was involved with residential, and if you were involved with residential, that's your responsibility, all of it.
So what did you get, like your rental income? Like how much is the return rate?
Yeah, so
your commercial property?
Yeah, so I think it's better to understand what I was getting in residential, and then what am I getting in commercial, which is vastly different when you're talking about return on investment. And so before, I was getting just around 4,000, really, if I was keeping up with the rental market. But you know how you're always negotiating to keep a good tenant in. So we kept it right below, and we're renting it out for about $3,700. And by the time you factor in the loss of insurance, the taxes, all the upkeep that came out of it, the HOA fees that
so
I had
what
to pay.
is the net income?
Oh, it was minimal at that time. I was breaking even. I was breaking even, and I was banking on the equity, the growth, the appreciation of the property as my return on investment, and there was really no cash flow, because by the time I had to offload the property and sell it, all the growth that I had saved up went into maintenance in order to then put the property on the market. And so there was a significant amount of Tamlin investment just to sell the property. Fortunately, there was some appreciation that allowed 1031 exchange to happen. So we transitioned over to a commercial real estate opportunity, and we were able to walk away, I want to say, with about a 6.5 cap rate.
Return, but that is net.
But that's net. So
you need to take care of nothing.
We don't take care of anything. So like, what's net coming to me is it already factors out the cost of all the other landlord responsibilities from residential, and what I receive mailbox money wise. I get a check right now for about $8,600, and that is flow through for me in this net lease structure. I do pay that stuff, but it's reimbursed 100% by the tenant. And so I'm still netting over $6,000, about $6,400 a month on just rent, on net operating income. So what's coming directly to me. So aggregated just over $80,000 of net to myself, which is something that after holding on to a residential property for 5 years, at the end of that 5 years, I didn't net that at all.
But you live in Hawaii.
Yeah.
How did you dare to invest into a long distance area like Arizona? Why didn't you look for a commercial property in Hawaii?
Well, the market's different, right? And so that's where a good real estate advisor is going to help guide you in where the market is best. Unfortunately, we had a conversation about this one. We looked at different areas that could be beneficial. Arizona is obviously a really ideal place based on the weather and how it affects property. But location does matter to a degree, right? Hawaii, very expensive, very difficult to go ahead and find a property where your return on investment and your net to yourself is ideal. It's highly populated, and so therefore prices are high, cap rates are low, and so your ability to recoup your return on investment is significantly slower. And so when we looked outside of Hawaii and looked into the other markets, Arizona, the numbers made sense, right? You get a very equitable, sales price. You get good cap rates. You're in a good environment that, as far as weather goes, that's going to protect your investment, which is the structure that you're purchasing, right? That comes with a tenant and operator, and that's very helpful. But I didn't need to see the property to do that because all the underwriting I could do from a distance. It's, I think we talked about before, which is I'm not interviewing the tenant. I am interviewing the operator based off of their profit and loss statements and how successful they are as an operator, but also how they guarantor the property. And you're looking from an advisor to help you steer you to businesses that are profitable, that the operations are stable, that the demographics will continue to feed that business, that ensures that your investment in the property is stable. And
but why don't you fear that it is a fake property? If you don't see it in your own eyes, why don't you worry that someone just sell you something like a virtual property, not a real property?
I mean, that's where the comfort comes in, and I think for me, I would have flown out and said, hey, let me go just check out this property to make sure that the address is what it is, that I'm Google searching this, I'm looking at it on Google Maps and finding out, okay, does anything actually exist, or did I buy a postcard or a barren piece of land? And going through the process of inspecting the property, getting an inspector locally to actually look at the property for you, and they're your eyes and ears on ground, but you're hiring them to do so to make sure that structurally this makes sense, but not only does it structurally make sense as an investment, but they're also verifying that this property in fact exists, because I walked in and took photos. I looked at all the major components because I'm looking at it more detailed than I probably would have seen it. I would have gone there and just looked at it and said, okay, it exists. And so there's a process to verifying that the property does exist, and that you're not walking into something that is just a postcard.
Yeah, inspection is very important. Like you use the inspector's eyes to see the real property for you. Mm-hmm. And also there's another thing that you can believe in is the title company.
Yeah, the title is absolutely the case. And so that is what is registered and recorded with the state and county, and it's going to verify, and you're going to get title insurance on this one as well, because you would do the same thing for residential to make sure that you have a clean title and that there's no claim against it. But to include the recorded documents, to including an inspector, which is a front-end investment that's 100% worth the cost. You have two forms to verify what you're investing in.
Yeah. So two major procedure that we have to go through for a transaction to be closed. First, you can use an inspector. The inspection report would tell you the condition and the physical existence of your property. And also, title company, title insurance will ensure that the title, the deed of the ownership of this property is transferred from the seller to the buyer. So that's why we don't need to see it. A lot of my buyers that I recommended commercial properties to for the past few years, most of them, I believe, over 95% of buyers never saw their properties, even a few years after closing, after ownership transfer. So like one beginner, actually a beginning investor, and she bought 4 commercial properties, long distance. She never saw anyone so far. 4, one in Texas, one in Oklahoma, one in Ohio, one in West Virginia. Yeah, now she's looking for the 5th one.
Yeah.
And it's also long distance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very comfortable with it. I wasn't comfortable with it at first, with your advice and going through the inspector. I was able to see exactly what I was investing in. And it reduced a lot of the anxiety, the concerns. Now, I would say that if you're interested and you get into commercial real estate, which I highly advise, is if you find a property or a property just happens to be within the area, I wouldn't say don't go see it. Go see it. If you can drive to it and it's close enough, by all means. Not every opportunity is always going to be out of state. Not every opportunity is going to be across the country. Sometimes, you might get lucky and it might be within driving distance and worth checking out. Or if you know somebody that lives in that state, lives in that city, who can see it for you, then great. That's just additional layer of opportunity to just build comfort. But I wouldn't let that stop you. That's not, I'm a testament to it. And as my mother's mentioned, many clients have already purchased properties that they've never seen, but the underwriting made sense, and they saw it through an inspector's lens, which is more detailed, and they saw it through official documents.
Yeah, so actually a lot of long distance investors, they worry about, is this fake? Is this real property existed? It is where it is, like showing in the advertisement documents, papers. Actually, there's a way to solve all these problems, to remove your fear and your worries. Yeah. So a lot of times the buyers even use a lawyer, an attorney to handle the whole transaction.
Yeah.
So that adds another layer of protection to the buyers. So the attorneys go over all the legal documents and find out what issues existed in the title, in the lease agreement, and other documents related to this property. And the inspector will be on site, to inspect the property 360 degrees, interior and exterior. So, and the title company will make sure that the title is clean and clear to be transferred from owner to owner. And also the title company issue a title insurance policy in case there's any issue that they didn't spot during the transaction period of time, the title insurance policy will pay for any title problems or claims from anywhere or out of nowhere. So we should have a peace of mind, investing into long distance commercial properties. Yeah. Now Clement just did it himself. Now he's receiving rents. Rents are paid on time.
All on time. And so I think the concern sometimes is, okay, well, what's the difference between a residential tenant as opposed to a commercial tenant? And what's the difference in experience? And I'll tell you that, you can have either good tenants or bad tenants on a residential property, and you don't necessarily know how they're going to react when given good news, bad news, or whatnot. And so when I will tell you that working with a commercial tenant, they're all businesses, they're all trying to succeed, they're all trying to do well. And they understand that this is more business than it is personal. And so my interactions with commercial tenants have been great. They're all nice. They're all easy to work with. Again, they're all trying to succeed. They're all trying to do well in their line of work as an operator. And so you're rarely, and this is my only testimonial, is that going to deal with a tenant that is a problem on the commercial side. Largely because the lease structure is in a way that makes it so much more professional, as opposed to when you're dealing with a residential client who they're tied to is just living in there. They're not trying to do business out of that property more often than not, and so their dependency on the residential side is very different. The dependency on the property for a business is absolutely different. It's a requirement for them to succeed. And so you're going to get a very different experience.
Yeah, that's very true. So if our audience, our real estate investors, whoever wants to learn more about commercial real estate, then you can put your comments, your questions under our video, and even contact us for a Zoom meeting so we can learn about you and you can learn about us. Yeah, that's how we started a relationship as a mentor and a student. For the past few years, since 2021, I have recommended over 40 commercial properties to our investors. We all started with an online meeting to learn each other, to know about the investor and let the investor know about our service. And through this first free consultation, then we can guide them step by step to do the 1031 exchange, or even for some beginners to jump into the commercial real estate investment, just without even going through the residential commercial investment. It would be a shortcut for investment success.
Yeah, I completely agree.
To go just directly into commercial.
If you're unfamiliar, definitely seek out, an advisor, definitely able to guide you through it. And as you already mentioned, you're gaining an aggregate of over 40 years of experience here where you're not having to figure this out on your own. You've got somebody who's got your best interest in mind, got your investment goals in mind, really, and ensuring that your success at the end of the day is your real estate advisor, commercial real estate advisor success.
Okay, so let's share our more testimonial or stories in our future videos. So today, let's say goodbye to our audience. Hope that our audience can leave comments and questions in our comment areas under this video. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Clement. Bye-bye.